I don't know what's happening with K-dramas lately, but I feel like I'm in a toxic relationship. One moment, they give me masterpieces like Moving and My Dearest, and the next, they hit me with hierarchy and expect me to just accept it. Like, at this point, are we even trying? Back in the day, K-dramas had me on the edge of my seat, feeling all the emotions. Yeah? I feel like I'm watching the same 5 actors play the same recycled plots, and half the time, it's not even finished because, surprise, surprise, Netflix wants to stretch everything into multiple seasons. So let's talk about it. Why does everything feel so off? Why are we getting more flashy productions but somehow fewer memorable stories? And more importantly, who do I have to beg to bring back that golden era energy? Alright, let's start with the obvious villain in the story, streaming platforms. Look, I love having easy access to K-dramas without having to fight sketchy pop-up ads just to watch an episode. But ever since Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime started throwing money at the industry, something shifted. K-dramas used to have tight, self-contained stories, 16 episodes, no filler, no waiting a whole year for the next part. Yeah? We're getting split seasons, unnecessary sequels, and shows that feel like they were made by an algorithm rather than actual writers. Like, why did Sweet Home need 3 seasons? The webtoon wrapped up in 1. Can we talk about how streaming platforms are basically holding the K-drama industry hostage? They're like, hey, we love your show, but only if it never ends. I mean, Korean dramas are known for their tight storytelling and neat conclusions, but Netflix and company are always like, but what if you just didn't wrap things up? What if you just kept going and going and going? It's like, come on. Can't they just let a story be complete for once? It's not just the length though. It's the pacing. Some of these shows feel like they're being dragged out just to hit a certain episode count. Remember when every scene had purpose? Now we've got 10-minute montages of people staring at the sky while sad music plays. Bro, do something. And don't even get me started on the part 1/part 2 nonsense. Jaeyoung Creature did it, The Glory did it, and now Squid Game Season 2 isn't even telling a full story. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they split Hospital Playlist 3 into 5 parts just to milk the hype. Alright, so streaming changed the game, but there's another issue. There are too many K-dramas now. And before you say more dramas equals more fun, let's be real, most of them aren't even good. Back in the day, we'd get a few standout dramas per year, and they were carefully crafted. Yeah? It feels like studios are just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. We're getting over 100 dramas a year, and half of them feel like AI-generated scripts. The creative process behind many modern K-dramas seems to follow a familiar formula. A producer pitches a romance drama with a groundbreaking twist, the leads start out hating each other. But that's not enough, they also need a tragic backstory to really sell the drama. And if all else fails, a convenient plot device like amnesia can be thrown in to shake things up. It's a predictable and unoriginal approach, yet it somehow continues to get the green light from executives. Seriously, how many times are we gonna recycle the same tropes? Enemies to lovers, childhood trauma, chaebol heirs with commitment issues, it's like they're using a checklist. And when something actually hits big, suddenly every drama has to copy it. After Goblin, every fantasy romance had some tragic immortal being. The Glory blew up? Boom, now we're drowning in revenge plots. And don't even get me started on the rich guy per girl formula that refuses to die. The problem isn't just quantity, it's quality. When studios are rushing out 10+ shows a year, the writing, direction, and even the acting sometimes suffer. That's why we're getting half-baked plots and characters who feel like they exist just to fill screen time. Remember when dramas had unique styles? Now everything looks the same, overproduced, glossy, and weirdly soulless. Like, you can just tell when something was made for Netflix versus an old-school broadcast channel. Look, I'm not saying every modern K-drama is bad. But let's be honest, how many of them are actually memorable? How many do you think people will still be talking about in 5 years? Exactly. Alright, let's talk about something that's been getting worse, idol actors taking over K-dramas. And before the K-pop stans come for me, I'm not saying all idol actors are bad. Some of them absolutely kill it. But let's be honest, not everyone who can hit a high note should be leading a drama. We've reached a point where casting directors care more about trending names than actual acting ability. Like, forget auditions, if an idol has a big enough fanbase, they're practically guaranteed a lead role even if their acting is stiff as a mannequin in a department store. The casting process for many K-dramas has become more about marketing strategy than artistic merit. Rather than seeking out talented actors who can bring depth and nuance to a role, executives often prioritize casting idols with massive social media followings. The thinking goes that even if the idol can't act, their fans will still tune in, guaranteeing a built-in audience. This approach reduces the casting process to a mere numbers game where an actor's talent and ability take a backseat to their online popularity. This is why we keep seeing performances where actors have one facial expression for every emotion. Happy? Blank stare. Devastated? Blank stare. Just found out their entire family was kidnapped? Blank stare. It's frustrating because there are so many amazing trained actors who get overlooked because the industry prioritizes popularity. And when an idol actor does well, great. But when they flop, it drags the whole drama down with them. The worst part? Some of these idols could actually become good actors if they were given time to train and take smaller roles first. But no, they're thrown straight into lead roles like, good luck, hope you can cry on cue. Again, I'm not hating on all idol actors. Some of them work insanely hard to improve, and when they do, I'll be the first to praise them. But if I have to sit through one more drama where the lead delivers their lines like they're reading off a teleprompter, I'm gonna lose it. Alright, let's talk about something K-dramas use to do really well, sticking to a genre. You wanted a rom-com? You got a rom-com. You wanted a psychological thriller? Boom, here's a masterpiece. But now? Everything is a chaotic mix of 10 different genres and not in a good way. You start watching a romance drama thinking it's gonna be a sweet love story and suddenly BM. Someone gets kidnapped, there's corporate espionage, and now we're dealing with a serial killer subplot. Like, bro, I just wanted to see two people fall in love, why are we solving murders? They really be marketing some of these dramas as a slow burn romance, and by episode 10, the male lead is dodging bullets like he's in John Wick. And don't get me started on historical dramas. What happened to actual seijuks? Now every single one has time travel, fantasy elements, or modern slang. I'm half expecting a king in the Joseon era to pull out an iPhone and start texting any day now. Don't get me wrong, some genre mixing can be great when done well. But when every drama suddenly feels like it's trying to be 5 different things at once, it just makes everything feel messy. Like, pick a lane, my guy. And the wildest part? The genre you thought you were watching disappears halfway through. You think you're watching a romance? Nope, we're in a courtroom drama now. You thought it was a crime thriller? Surprise, now it's a reincarnation fantasy. K-dramas are out here switching genres like they're changing outfits at a fashion show. At this point, when I start a new drama, I just prepare for anything. I see a rom-com? Someone's getting poisoned by episode 6. A horror drama? Watch it turn into a tragic romance. A slice of life drama? Give it time, we'll have a time loop or an AI robot by the finale. I miss when a drama knew what it wanted to be. Now, I feel like I need a PhD just to keep up with the plot twists. Alright, let's talk about something K-dramas just refuse to let go of: forced happy endings. Because no matter how tragic, chaotic, or downright impossible the story is, somehow everything gets wrapped up in a neat little bow by the final episode. Like, imagine you just spent 15 episodes watching the leads go through absolute hell. Betrayals, terminal illnesses, 10 different kidnappings, a secret twin reveal, a near-death experience. And then, in the last 15 minutes of episode 16, boom, everyone is happy, smiling, and having a picnic in the park. Sir, how? Like, I get it, people love a happy ending. But sometimes, the story just does not call for one. You mean to tell me this man spent half the drama bleeding out, but all it took was one surgery and now he's perfectly fine? Make it make sense. And don't even get me started on redemption arcs that make no sense. Some villains do the absolute worst things imaginable. Stealing fortunes, ruining lives, attempted murder. But the last episode comes around and suddenly, they're handing out apologies like free samples at Costco. Like, no, I don't care if he found peace in the last 2 minutes of the drama. He tried to kill the female lead twice. And look, I'm not saying every drama needs a tragic ending. But sometimes, it's okay to let things be bittersweet. Sometimes, characters not getting what they want is the whole point of the story. But nope, we gotta make sure they're smiling in the last scene, no matter how ridiculous it is. At this point, I'm convinced K-drama writers have a checklist for their final episodes. Wedding scene? Check. Baby time skip? Check. Emotional speech about fate? Check. Villain goes to prison but somehow seems content? Check. It's like they're legally required to wrap things up in the most unrealistic way possible. Look, if I just spent 16 hours watching a beautifully painful love story, I do not need a last-minute time skip where everyone is suddenly happy and running a coffee shop. Let me sit in my emotional damage in peace. So, where does that leave us? Are K-dramas actually changing for the worse? Or are we all just being overly nostalgic for the good old days? Honestly, it's both. On one hand, the industry is growing, budgets are getting bigger, and production quality is at an all-time high. We're getting more international recognition. and K-dramas are experimenting with genres like never before. But on the other hand, we've got more shallow writing, actors being cast purely for their popularity rather than skill, and an obsession with squeezing every last drop of money out of a show, whether it actually needs a second season or not. And look, I love K-dramas. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here ranting about them for 10+ minutes. But sometimes we need to be honest about where the industry is headed. Not every drama needs to be a franchise. Not every story needs to have an unnecessary love triangle. And for the love of everything holy, can we stop with the amnesia plots? At the end of the day, will I still be watching? Of course. Will I still be complaining? Absolutely. But I just want K-dramas to live up to their full potential instead of recycling the same tropes over and over again. But what do you guys think? Are K-dramas actually getting worse, or are we just being too picky? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe unless you want your next favorite drama to end in a rushed, last-minute time skip. Your choice.